In the unsettling silence of midnight, a chilling wind swept across the earth, heralding the arrival of the first horseman. From the horizon, a towering figure emerged, riding a white horse. This was the Horseman of Conquest, holding a gleaming bow in his hands. His presence brought a sense of euphoria and power among world leaders, who quickly fell under his spell of boundless ambition. Governments around the world began waging wars of conquest, with each nation desiring to expand its territories and power. The desire for domination led to unceasing conflicts, and where there was once peace, now there was chaos and destruction. Cities were razed, ancient cultures destroyed, and millions of lives lost in an endless struggle for absolute control. While the world was still ablaze, an even more fearsome horseman emerged. Mounted on a fiery red horse, the Horseman of War wielded a massive sword that seemed to absorb the light around it. His arrival was accompanied by a wave of violence and hatred, as brothers turned against brothers, nations plunged into civil war, and blood was shed on a scale never seen before. Society began to crumble. The pillars of civilization, like law and order, collapsed. People lived in constant fear, and distrust permeated every interaction. Justice became a distant memory, replaced by brutality and the law of the strongest. Amid the pandemonium, a black horse appeared, carrying the third horseman, Famine. He held a scale, symbolizing scarcity and inequality. The land, once fertile and abundant, now became barren. Crops failed, animals died, and hunger spread like a virus. Food prices skyrocketed, and only the wealthy could afford to eat. Famine brought with it despair. Families were torn apart, communities disintegrated, and human morality was put to the test. Once kind people turned into thieves and murderers to feed their loved ones. Chaos and destruction intensified as the starving grew more desperate. Finally, when it seemed the world could bear no more suffering, the last horseman appeared, riding a pale horse. This was the Horseman of Death, and hell followed closely behind. His presence caused a terrible plague to spread rapidly, wiping out entire populations. Nowhere was safe, and death became a constant part of everyone's life. Hospitals were overwhelmed, healthcare systems collapsed, and humanity faced its own extinction. The fear of death was so great that many lost hope, succumbing to despair. The streets were filled with bodies, and the air was thick with the smell of death. With the four horsemen unleashed upon the earth, civilization completely collapsed. Humanity was reduced to fragments of its former glory, struggling to survive in a ravaged world. Those still breathing looked to the sky, searching for a sign of redemption, but found only emptiness. And so, the prophecy was fulfilled. The arrival of the four horsemen brought destruction, war, famine, and death, leaving the earth in ruins. The hope for a new dawn seemed distant, and humanity was forced to confront the consequences of its own greed and violence.